it's a big factory building and split over 2 floors. And Han, who's the business owner, owns the whole building. He's owned it for about 25 years, actually maybe nearly 30 years now. And he bought it 30 years ago as a manufacturing unit. And at that time, in our area of East London, there were lots of manufacturing units, lots of smallish factories making for high street brands mainly. The high street was very different 30 years ago. So we're talking about brands like Marks and Spencer's, John Lewis, Debenhams, Next. And he ran a soft tailoring manufacturing out of the factory over both floors. And I think he employed about 200 people, and they made thousands of units of garments every week. And what gradually happened, as you guys know, is that over the years, over the past 3 decades, the face of fashion and the pace of fashion has really changed. So what he found is that the brands that he was working with were increasingly asking for things to be produced more cheaply and more quickly. And in that, in the way that the London manufacturing industry and also the kind of the regulatory system in the UK in terms of wages, in terms of health and safety, meant that actually you couldn't keep up with that kind of demand, both for cheap clothing and fast clothing, by producing in the UK. And what he found is he had to partner up first with a factory in Turkey and then with a factory in the Far East to meet this demand of cheaper and faster products. And I mean, he always tells the story that one day he was just in China and he felt so disconnected and fragmented, both in terms of his own kind of moral core, I suppose, and values, i.e., why am I doing this? You know, do I love what I do? He was spending months away from his family, working with outsourcing garments to factories where he didn't have control over what was done when he left the factory. So, you know, while he was there, it was all very nice, but when you go away, you don't know how people are paid, how people are treated. And he really felt a kind of huge disconnect had been created in the fashion industry and that level of manufacturing. And he just didn't want to do it anymore. So he kind of had a bit of an epiphany moment and decided to stop straight away. He came back to London, he closed the factory down, and he took a year off traveling with his family. He had 2 young daughters at the time and his wife. And after that, he came back to his local community, Stoke Newington in North London, and he opened a fine dining restaurant on Stoke Newington, on the high street of that area. And what he found is that in a very short space of time, working in the hospitality industry, actually he managed to regain all of the connections that he felt he had lost in the fashion industry. So, for example, lots of local people were coming to the restaurant and they became his friends. They were his neighbours that he never spoke to in all the years he lived in his home, but they became his customers and his friends. And that kind of very personal relationship and connection, you know, getting to know people, having daily contact with people, was something that he felt he really lost working in the kind of remote, outsourced fashion industry where everything is produced kind of almost virtually, you know, with designers in Manchester and some fabrics in China and sampling in the UK and production in Turkey. You know, there's none of that connection and personal contact with people. And the other thing that he liked about the hospitality industry was the transparency. So in the hospitality industry, especially at, you know, fine dining, you have to be very open about your ingredients. You have to be very open about your methods. And especially at very kind of premium level, top level quality dining, you know, often you have open kitchens so people can see how the chef is working, how clean you are. And what ingredients do you use? Kind of fundamentally, you can't sell people dishes that are past their sell-by date. You know, meat that has gone off or fish that has gone off. So he kind of took on board all of these learnings from the hospitality industry and decided to come back to manufacturing because that was his cultural heritage. Both his parents had been tailors, but also his real experience was there. But to reinvent the factory space and repurpose it so that it was a bit more meaningful and a bit more viable also in the current fashion climate. So with that, he opened Blackhorse Lane Ateliers with some really core values that kind of draw from what he didn't like about the fashion industry and what he did like about the hospitality industry. So locality, you know, how can we do things as local as possible? Community, so how can we involve our local community? And also, when we talk about community, it's not just Walthamstow, but also the fashion community, the education community, the supply chain community. So how can we work as closely as possible with those people? And also connectivity. So how can we really use what we do to connect with people around us? And in the same way, and within all of that, obviously a huge commitment to eco-consciousness. So in all of those strands of what we do. So, I mean, that's a big preamble, but I hope that makes sense because it's really key to how we work. Because when I take people around and when I talk to them a bit like I'm talking to you guys, I always say that actually we never talk about ourselves as a sustainable brand or a sustainable company. But what we do talk about, a bit like what you guys mentioned, is how can we implement sustainable practice? How can we behave more responsibly and thoughtfully? Because sustainability is such a big word and we feel like it's really been hijacked and overused, really. And there are loads of companies doing great things, but actually, as human beings, we are not sustainable. You know, as a fashion brand, it's not sustainable. You know, we are just producing more and more stuff. But what we do say is, this is what we do. This is where our expertise is. This is what we love. And we have a huge commitment to doing that in a way that draws on our core values. So we never feel like what we do is a reaction to market trends, or how can we be sustainable next month, or how can we make our collection sustainable. What we do is every decision we make, we go back to our core values. And so that's what drives our brand identity and our brand direction, I suppose, more than a bid to be more sustainable in itself. So, for example, we try and use local suppliers as much as possible. So we work with, and we are very, very open and transparent about all stages of our supply chain as Blackhorse Lane, because we think that by giving customer as much information as possible, then it's up to the customer to make the good decisions. We offer free repairs service for life on our jeans. So that's another way that we see sustainability is it's a personal sustainability. It's not just about using organic cotton or recycling waste. Those are important parts too. But it's also about, you know, that's no good if the customer is still buying 10 pairs of jeans a year and then throwing them away. So we just want, our commitment is for people to buy one pair of jeans and really love them and look after them and bring them back to us when they are broken, and we will repair them for free. So that's another part of our commitment. That's how we see it in a more holistic way, I suppose. And in terms of sustainable, new sustainable initiatives, we are actually working on something right now which kind of draws on all of those things. So we're working with, right behind us in Blackhorse Lane is a place called Blackhorse Workshops. And they are a kind of almost like hot desking for carpentry and metalwork. So they have a big warehouse space downstairs and desks upstairs, and they provide a kind of community space for small makers to come and use all of the tools and things that they might not be able to afford, or they might not have the space to have them at home. So we are working with one of the designers there and also using their network to recycle our waste, our consumer waste at the moment. So at the moment, with our offcuts, we donate those mostly to students or other local community groups, and people can just come in and collect what they need for their projects. But what we also do get lots of very much smaller offcuts that not everyone is interested in using, and we recycle them. We've been collecting them. And in the past, what we did is we worked with a paper mill in Finchley and a local screen printer in East London to make business cards and swing tags out of pulped denim. So they use the cotton to make a kind of paper, and then we did that. And then we were talking to one of our friends who works in kind of circular economy field, and they said, oh, you know what, that's really great, but it's not that sustainable in the end, because the end product, i.e. the swing tag or the business card, just gets thrown away. So the end product doesn't have a very long lifespan.
Right.
And her advice to us was, think about creating things with a longer lifespan. So we talked to our neighbours and the people in our community, we connected with them and we asked them, what's your suggestion? And their suggestion was to create, like, do you know what MDF is? Like a wooden board, a composite wood. So it's basically do the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
But you can shred the denim so that it becomes really tiny pieces. And then you use a combination of bio-resins. So that's the challenge for us at the moment, is finding the right combination of resins that are not harmful. So kind of organic resins that will bind the pulp together. And our idea is to create modular board to be able to create things like shelving and 3D printing through the denim offcuts. And that way we will create an end product with a very long lifespan, but that can also be recycled again. And in that way, we're also connecting with people in our local community to create a second kind of business, because our idea is we will provide the denim scraps and they will provide the kind of know-how and the expertise in the making. And together we can create this other product and maybe work with other, they're talking about involving a group of young people who they're training up, you know, who upskilling to learn new skills, to run a business where they're creating modular furniture out of denim waste. So that's something that we're working on at the moment in terms of circularity within our local community.
So is that something that's going to be taking place in the new workshop that you mentioned, that's going to house like carpentry and metalworking?
Well, that already exists. So they actually exist as part of an existing kind of charity stroke community. Do you know Makerversity in Somerset House? It's a similar
No.
concept that it's a place where lots of makers can get together and work alongside each other rather than everyone working in different studios separately. So the idea is that together we are stronger. You know, if you bring people together in a hub, you share ideas, you share tools, you share experiences, you make friends. You know, there's so much to be gained by connecting up with other people. So that Blackhorse workshops, you can look them up online. They already exist. So we don't know how to make stuff out of wood, but we do have denim. They know how to make stuff out of wood, but they don't have the denim. So together we are joining together, and hopefully that our plan is to create this new business out of the denim scraps.
Oh, that's great. So these concepts of like circularity are like really integral. And you said you have like a friend who works in like circular economy who's been
Yeah.
giving you this advice.
Yeah, well, that was her suggestion to us, and that's what made us think about it. Because the other thing about how we work is that we don't ever want to say, oh, well, we donate our offcuts and that's how we recycle them and that's it. We always want to improve and think about how we can push the boundaries of what is considered to be the kind of basic standard of sustainable practice. So, you know, when we found the option for the pulping and making the swing tags and the business cards, we thought, great, this is a really good solution. But actually, in the end, it wasn't enough to stop there. We want to keep going and improving so that we can get better. And actually, we apply that kind of philosophy in our manufacturing processes as well, so that our jeans last longer, so that we can switch our fabrics to organic fabrics. So we're all the time, we're not just sitting there saying, oh, well, this is what we do and we don't need to do anything else. We're always trying to look into ways to improve that and do better. We have so much to learn.
So would you say, sorry, Arwa has more questions, so I'm just wondering, would you say that denim offcuts are like the main waste output? Like I know denim, like pattern making has a lot of paper involved, and I don't know if there's like, you know, plastic that fabrics come in.
Yeah.
Is there
No.
anything you do to manage those like waste streams?
No, I mean we don't have a lot of other waste, to be honest. That's the main waste is the denim. The fabric, when it's delivered, it comes sometimes depends where it comes from, but it usually does come wrapped in biodegradable, recyclable plastic just to protect it on its journey. And then we recycle that just in our normal recycling bins. I think it's an interesting point to say just here that as a small company, it's much easier for us to manage our recyclability and approach to sustainability because we make all of the decisions ourselves. You know, a really basic example is that we were getting our toilet paper delivered every month, and it was just the standard Andrex toilet paper. And I just thought, why don't we get recycled? You know, why don't we get a more eco-friendly toilet paper? And it's within my power just to change the toilet paper delivery. If you work for a massive corporation and you have that idea, you have to say it to your boss, then they say it to the human resources, then they refer that on to the company that deals with the outsourcing of the supplies to the building. So it's easy for us as a small brand to recycle things because we have 3 different bins and I make sure that we all understand what goes in each bin. Does that make sense? Whereas I think for bigger companies, it's more of a challenge to, not impossible, but it feels like we are very empowered to make those decisions and implement them ourselves in a small company.
Yeah, definitely makes sense.
That's great.
So I was also wondering, these solutions that you have you like adapted them from a different company or is it like your own solutions? Like all these sustainability practices that you have?
I think it just comes from, you know, like I said, we are such a small company. It's myself and Han that manage the kind of a kind of higher level everything. So yeah, we look at other brands and other people, what they're doing, because we're so open and we love to make friends. We love to share what we do, and we equally from that people share with us. So people tell us, hey, we found a really great denim mill that makes fantastic organic fabrics. So we would go and look at that. Or, like I said, our friend Brooke Roberts Islam, I think she's part of LCF actually, Centre for Circular Fashion. What's it called, the course that you're on? Fashion Futures.
Fashion Futures, yeah.
I think she's involved with LCF in some way, and her husband Moin also works with them in the innovation section. So we worked with her on a number of different projects already to do with sustainability within the fashion industry, and she works in lots of different more kind of think tank areas, and so people come to us with ideas, and we are very open to listen to other people as well. But actually, there are not so many areas where we need to tackle sustainability, in the sense that our suppliers is one area. So it's easy to look at, you know, our mills and make sure we are working with mills who are completely joined up and compliant with best practice in terms of social and environmental responsibility. So that's one area. Then another area is our waste. So again, so it's quite easy to kind of focus on those areas and look around and yes, you know, listen to other people and see what other people are doing, and kind of take inspiration from that as well.
In terms, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. In terms of the mills, are you able to source locally? Because I know that a lot of like textile production's been outsourced to
Yeah.
other countries, but are you able to source your denim and like manufacture that locally?
Yeah, and sadly not. No, there is only one company producing denim in the UK at the moment, and he's called Hewitt Heritage Fabrics. He started really recently, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. So he is working in Lancashire, I believe, and weaving denim according to traditional weaving techniques. So he's part of the kind of resurgence of textile making in that area. But his denim has a couple of issues for us. First of all, it's really expensive. Second of all, it's not tried and tested yet. So, for example, we have used it in a couple of productions, but because the manufacturing techniques are old-fashioned, and that's what he wants to do, we had a lot of issues with damages to the fabrics and imperfections in the fabrics, which creates a lot of waste, which isn't great for us. And also ironically, although his fabric is made woven in the UK, the cotton that he uses comes from India. So actually the carbon footprint of his denim is about 7,000 to 8,000 kilometers, which is higher than the Turkish or Italian denim that we use. So it's an irony really that simply because the fabric is woven in the UK doesn't necessarily mean that it's more sustainable in terms of the carbon footprint. So again, that's why we're careful not to say we are sustainable, because how do you look at sustainability? Do you say you buying fabric made in the UK, but actually, so you're supporting kind of more localized economy, but actually the cotton comes from offshore, further away, and therefore the carbon footprint of the fabric is higher. But the other mills that we work with are in Italy and Turkey and Japan, and we look at the carbon footprint, but also at their working methods. And Han has visited all of the mills. I haven't been to Japan, the Japanese one. But we are really confident about their commitment to environmental and social best practice. And also we kind of love to make really strong partnerships with all of the people that we work with, and relationships is so important to us. And these mills are always very happy to supply us with lots of information about where the cotton comes from, all of their working methods, and then we in turn pass that on to our customers. So, but unfortunately in the UK, the only denim maker is Chris. And in terms of other fabrics, we don't really use a lot of other, twills and things like that. Unfortunately, the transparency in the UK weaving isn't always great. So there are some lovely mills in the UK making beautiful fabric, but it's not always clear to us the other parts of their supply chain. And we love being able to work with suppliers who are transparent like us, so that we can pass that information on to our customers. And where we do work locally is with our printing. So we print wash care information and also our brand values on our pocket bags in our jeans. And we work with local screen printer in Tottenham to organise that. We emboss the leather patches on our jeans, and we work with a hot foil company in Essex to organise that, to do the brass stamps. And we also buy our leather locally in Hackney, and that's usually the leather comes from Somerset. But again, we work with the Hackney supplier Bachelors because they can tell us the provenance of the skins. So we know that it comes from specific tannery. We know that it's been made in an organic way, dyed using particular kinds of bio colouring rather than, heavy chemical. So we work locally wherever we can, but there are some areas where it's still difficult to do so.
Great.
Just to sum it up, what do you think is the most important element of Blackhorse Lane's success and resilience?
the important element of Blackhorse Lane's success?
Yeah, and resilience. Like again, like all the other companies that are like implementing sustainability and ethical, being ethical in their
Yeah.
businesses, such as like Know the Origin. They have like a huge website of like it's an e-commerce brand of fashion, but however it doesn't have jeans. So like, do you think that like having denim is your unique selling point
Yeah.
for Blackhorse Lane?
I think we are a really different company. And I think just going back to what I said at the beginning, we have really, really strong core values. And I
Yeah.
think that when customers come buy our trousers or they come to be either online or in store, I think we really live and breathe those values. And I think the customers see it. And I think that there is a kind of authenticity and an understanding of that authenticity that customers do understand and do more and more, they do appreciate. I think customers, including myself, because I'm a customer, you know, of other things, we are too clever now. And we see when big brands say, for example, we are planting 64,000 trees in the Amazon to offset our carbon emissions. It kind, but at the same time, they are producing millions of garments in Bangladesh every year. It kind of doesn't. There's an imbalance there. There's something wrong there to us. So we really stick to our values and we try to tell our story and we try to explain to our customers why we are different. A lot of the times the decisions that we make are anti-commercial decisions. For example, during COVID-19, as soon as our team members said they were not feeling comfortable coming to work anymore, we closed. And we closed not only our factory, but we also closed our shop and our online business before the government suggested that we do so. And I know, I mean, it's a tricky decision for lots of companies because lots of companies won't feel maybe that they won't survive unless they keep up their online business. But for us, the health and the safety of our team and actually the whole British public and the global public actually is more important to us than selling a few pair of jeans. So every day I'm replying to people who are trying to buy our jeans online, not many, because you know we don't have that many customers, but every day there's one or two saying, I'm trying to buy your jeans and I can't put them in the, you know, go to the checkout. But actually we feel that we feel that decision in ourselves, if that makes sense. And we have a huge commitment. When I say we always come back to our values, if our values is community, we want to respect our community and we want to respect the people that we work with. We want to respect the people that live around us and not force them to go to work to pack up a pair of jeans. We don't want the guy to come and collect them from us. You know, it's just, that's, and I think when people see that we do that, rather than keeping our online business open because we can sell a few more pairs of trousers, they think, oh yeah, Blackhorse Lane, it's true what they say. Yeah. You know, so we do our trousers, we do make them in a very different way. I didn't mention this at all, but you know, when Han decided to open Blackhorse Lane and make denim, because he identified that as a kind of gap in the market, that there weren't any other denim makers in London. We know that we can't compete, as I said before, with China, Turkey, Romania, Italy, Portugal on price, but we can compete on quality. And can compete in terms of heritage and the value of that story. So we decided to make our jeans according to tailoring constructions because all our machinists are tailors and Han has a huge knowledge in tailoring and a huge background in tailoring. And also East London has a huge tailoring heritage. So again, going back to our community and drawing on that for our inspiration. So our jeans are built in a very strong, long-lasting way, but they're also made in a very beautiful way according to tailoring rules. And I don't have a pair to show you now, but They are different. They are very beautiful on the inside, very cleanly made. We don't have any raw edges or stitching showing on the inside, just like tailoring rules. So when we explain that to our customers, and we explain that we only want them to buy one pair and really love it and really look after it, then when we explain to them about the mills we work with, and we're so open about those kind of things, I think they do understand the value of that. And not everyone can afford to buy our jeans. We know they're more expensive than high street jeans, but lots of people can. And lots of people also will buy 5 pair of £30 jeans in a year. So it's really about just encouraging a conversation, I suppose. And I think when people do get into that conversation with us, there's a value to that. And I think, yeah, that's why people seem to be drawn to us, not just to buy jeans, but also, you know, we love to have people to our shop. We try to make it so it's not just like a big come in, come out, lots of lights, try and get you to buy as many things as possible. We have a sofa, we host other makers there with workshops and events. We want to encourage people to make their own things, which is why we sell haberdashery. So it's really about extending the conversation about sustainability and sustainable practice and responsibility, so that everyone can join in.
I don't know if you have time. There's one more question. I was just kind of wondering about, like, how do you engage the local community, and what do you find like most effective? Like, do you guys do workshops, or do you do like community outreach, or?
Yeah, I mean, we have an open factory policy, like I said, so we encourage local people just to come and drop in to see what we do. One of the amazing things that we do is that we share our space with other small businesses. So upstairs we have 28 artist studios. They are managed by a charity called the Barbican Arts Group Trust. But within our denim making area on the ground floor, we also have paper conservators, weavers, a photography studio, and also a restaurant. And the restaurant has been so amazing in drawing in people from the local community, because Martin and Charlotte, who run the restaurant, they have a pop-up every Friday and Saturday night and Sunday brunch. But also they bake bread, and they have a small shop that also sells other local produce. And their shop is open Thursday through to Sunday. So we get lots of people coming in to buy a loaf of their amazing bread. And in that way, and that's people that wouldn't necessarily buy jeans. Families with young children, older people, students, people who work over the road. So that's been amazing in getting people into the space and kind of seeing what we do. But yes, we always reply to our emails personally. We have a lot of student groups coming around, including lots from local schools. We always participate in local community events, and especially kind of discussions and forums about local business. We're part of the East End Trade Guilds, which is a local, as the name suggests, kind of trade union for East London small businesses and makers. We don't have any kind of paid marketing or PR, so we rely on kind of word of mouth. So we love any opportunity to engage with people. Like I said, it's difficult to kind of deliberately always initiate those kind of things, because we're such a small team and we are trying to focus on making trousers at the same time. But we always welcome people into our space, and especially people from our local community.
It's great. So much good information. Thank you. I know we went a little bit over.
Oh, that's fine. I was just making biscuits before you. So I have boys at home, so and they are on holiday at the moment, so they have no schoolwork.
Everyone's baking.
So this was a relief for me in my day of homeschooling.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for meeting with us. Thank you. It was lovely.
And I hope I answered everything. I could talk, and I love what I do. I love Blackhorse Lane. I'm so proud to be part of it, and so I could talk and talk and talk and talk. And so I I hope I managed to answer everything and not digress too much. But if you have any other questions, if there's anything that you realise you wish you'd asked, or you want some other specific information, just send me an email and I can email you back, or I'd be happy to talk to you again.
Thank you so
Awesome. Thank you
much.
so much. Now I want to buy a pair of jeans. I'm excited. I can't wait for you guys to open up the studio again and be able
Yeah,
to
honestly,
check it out.
yeah, it really shows that you love everything about Blackhorse Lane, honestly, through this interview. It was amazing, honestly.
Okay, thanks so much. And guys, you know, like I said, we rely on people like you also we love to share, but we learn so much from you too. So it would be great to see your results at the end and hear about what's your take on this too.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. You'll hear more from us.
Great. Okay. Well, listen, lots of luck. Stay safe. And I'm
Thank you.
going to make lunch now. So
Bye.
enjoy the
Bye,
rest
take
of your
care.
day. I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.